All right, welcome to the Sensitive Skin Beer Virus reading number 6. I'm not going to talk very long because I'm boring. I'm Bernard Meisler. I'm the editor-in-chief of Sensitive Skin Magazine. Please visit us at sensitiveskinmagazine.com, and you can find lots of writing, art, and music. And all three of our readers tonight are well represented on the site if you want to see more work by them. You can also visit us on YouTube. We're called SensitiveSkinTV, 3 separate words, and you can find videos of our previous readings, not just these Zoom readings that we've been doing during the time of quarantine, but ones from years ago. I actually dug up, I couldn't believe this, I found the other day a reading from the Living Theater in 1992, and it's me and Darius James, Joel Rose, John Ferris, Carl Watson, and Herbert Huncke. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting to look at this. I looked much younger, 1992. At any rate, yeah, go check us out. And also, join us on Facebook so you can get announcements about other future readings. We're just going to continue doing these through the duration of the lockdown. So probably sometime in December 2022, something like that. Yeah, no, but on Facebook, where, facebook.com/sensitive skin. On Facebook, it's just Sensitive Skin, no magazine. On the web, it's sensitiveskinmagazine.com. All right. Enough about me. Let's see. I'm going to try to find, let's see, where is David? There he is. David, I'm going to unmute you. And so our first guest tonight, first reader is D. James Smith. And I believe he's joining us from somewhere in California. Where are you, David? Are you in Fresno?
Yeah, Central Valley.
Okay, cool. All right, you're in the spotlight. So D. James Smith, he's a recipient of an NEA Fellowship in Poetry and an Edgar in Fiction. His work has appeared widely in magazines such as Blackbird, the Malahat Review, Notre Dame Review, Poetry International, and Stand. His books include 2 collections of poems, Sounds the Living Make, from SF Austin State University, The Dead Ventriloquist, with an introduction by Dorianne Lowe, and the novel My Brother's Passion from Permanent Press, as well as 4 novels in YA Lit from Atheneum. Oh, YA, very cool. All right, without further ado, here is D. James Smith.
Thank you, Bernard. I'm going to read 3 poems from my last book, Sounds the Living Make, Austin State University Press. First one is called Easy. There is a languid certainty in the way you stretch and then lie down, reminding me of the hawks opening their wings and dropping from the cottonwoods along the river. This afternoon, when the wind kicked up a dust and drove evening in, and the strange tomcat showed his bitten face at the window, you ladled him in with the kind of care one might cup a match. It was the sort of small and easy thing my mother might have done when my father wasn't around, brittle with his religion and anger. You said, "Here, hold him, easy." When we were kids, my brother held a match to the weathered planks of an abandoned barn, and we watched the flames flick across it like thousands of tiny koi, wriggling toward the sky, that moist surface that even now smothers the valley there every winter. And I saw in his eyes that he wanted to be the fire, perhaps to consume and be consumed, the way everybody in the Bible seemed to me then to be doing. I recall lying in bed that night, wishing I could be a part of any wild creature that might let me draw near enough to rough its fur a while. I was afraid of him, but more afraid because I knew that brothering was, after all, the hard and necessary part of staying alive. When we ran across those fields, tethered to the shadows of our coats flapping behind us, the dry staccato crack of beams, the whirring heat sucking and exhaling, I thought it might lift us and could even see in my racing child's mind us two rising like witches I'd read about, then catching in a tree and hanging until the birds or maybe possum got at us, or some rancher in his Ford, and sullen curiosity came by to cut us down. Once we stood in that very place, rocked back onto our heels, thrilling at the fact we were never caught, and at that wind at our back so strong it held us. I can see us as if from a distance on that hill, laughing, little fragments of a laugh roll out from the back of your throat, and the smoke you've lit curls and wisps to become the absence of your voice, trailing off and nothing after. And how elegant and simple, how you shake your head at my telling this and touch my hand, and I'd give anything not to flinch, because I know you're being easy with me, because you or I might have to go away someday, because we will. The second of three is entitled The Reconciliation. In the wren's song is its own reason, inexplicable, somehow holy, its dull plumage scarcely visible against the bark of an oak that leaps outside the pane of glass I set last winter after a small branch stove through. Only today that singing is insistent enough to call me outside myself, to offer the small apology of my attention. Last night, my belief in words was shaken, all that weeping from the other room, my heart shuffling its solemn two-step too quickly, so that I felt my weakness truly. Women and their daughters abide in me always, mysteries I love. But sometimes at the edge of confusion, I stand as if on hooves of silence, skin salted, inadequate, and turn away. I think of my uncle after the war in Europe, like a mule that moved only when it wanted, forever dazed and a little angry, already an old man, standing in his long coat, gaze swept out over the diseased field. My father was burning. Untouchable at those times, I am the boy I was once, after I found a dove half broken, just a dusty scuffle in red leaves, though the black oil eyes shone. I stomped it soundly so as to let it go. I remember that in adolescence I told a girl I loved her because I wanted to know what it was to live within the warm slip of her kindness. One wet night in tall grass I can't say I regret. Gathered, held, for a moment free of myself, then spilled back into darkness. Today my daughter hates me because her boy left and I lied and said it didn't matter. When I put my hand on her shoulder, she seemed to shudder and fly away. This afternoon I am reading Neruda and seeing him lying in the sun on the patio of his woman's house. She is inside, asleep and dreaming, petals of soft red arranged around his lips. It is enough to restore me because of his surety, because of his favor, the solace of the ineffable though ordered assembly of years that made his mind a Bible, the way he could sever his heart into pieces, then gently put them where they were needed. Those coins, fishes, the damp nocturnal embers, a wooden chair draped with quiet gray trousers. Now, beneath this oak, I watch the wren unfist its tentative purchase in sharp flight, bursting from the limbs, striking a root to my center. I must try again, because here now is grace, here is mystery. My daughter coming toward me, eyes watery and unsure. Here the sun, ladled even to the low places. And I'll finish with this somewhat shorter, cheerier poem called Possum. Terror of mice, distrusted and brooding, unwilling to bother to hide himself in the half-dark settling over the yard, he'll stop, and clutching the fence top with the cracked leather gloves of his hands, suck air through his teeth at the sight of me. Thin, tattered in the costume of an alcoholic clown, he can't sit out the winter. His is a lean anger, so much so I believe that some evening should a fleck of grease travel up into my brain and I to die in the wet grass under the cold insistence of stars, he'd chew a hole, perhaps in the soft fleshy spot under an armpit, and munch his good fortune with proper simplicity. Sated, he'd sleep then with no dream of heaven. Denied the lamb's bleeding heart, he perfects solitude, licks back the grief of the spleen, and likes it. Crazed with the stink of suburbs, he hangs on and cares nothing for my admiration. Sometimes at night, head tipped back on the sofa, music coming to its expected end, a velvet quiet bearing hard toward the center of things. I think of him out there, snout low and scenting for garbage or the stiff little carcass of a sparrow. I go to bed and dream my dream, the one where they cut my hair and clip my nails, dress me in a silken box, arranging my head to face the east, and the little hole of silence, they say, is a star. That's it.
Holy fuck, that was so good.
You.
Thanks, David. That was great. Thank you.
Who's him?
Mike's reading.
All right, our next reader is one of my favorite fictioneers from New York City. It's Mike DeCapite. His published work includes the novel Through the Windshield and the chapbook Sitting Pretty in Creamsicle Blue. Creamsicle Blue is just so great. And the short prose collection Radiant Fog, and that's what he's going to read from today. His work has appeared in 3 AM, Cuz, Evergreen Review, and what do you know? Sensitive Skin. And his novel Jacket Weather is coming next year from Soft Skull. Mike lives in New York. Are you in New York now, Mike? What? Uh-oh, I think you're muted.
Oh,
There, now you're unmuted. Okay.
I said, yeah, I'm here. So there's the Empire State. Can you
Oh
see
yeah,
it?
look, what do you know? Cool. Could be one of those fake Zoom backdrops, but you know, I'll take your word for it. All right, without further ado, here is Mike DeCapite.
First of all, James, that reading was so good. I loved every single word of that. Every single word. This is a piece called Spring Cleaning from a little collection called Radiant Fog. I thought of reading this because Buddy's out in California, and I wrote this when I was living in San Francisco. On Sunday morning, I bundled the covers into the closet and folded the futon back up into a couch. My room, 10 by 11, hadn't been swept or dusted in months. From the back room off the kitchen, I retrieved a broom and dustpan. I put on a Fairport Convention CD and wheeled my desk into the middle of the room, trailing a tangle of electrical cords. 2 bar napkins had fallen behind. I read them, threw them away, and swept out the corner. I sprayed a t-shirt with end dust. Kneeling behind the desk, I wiped down its metal supports, base, and wheels. I wiped off the scanner, a manuscript, Will Durant's Caesar and Christ, and the shelf underneath them. I ran the electrical cords through the rag. Then I wheeled the desk into place and took the dustpan to the kitchen garbage. Back in the room, I cleared the desk of CDs, tapes, clock, cigarettes, matches, candle, and notepad. I cleaned the laptop keyboard key by key with 409 and a fresh t-shirt, wiped the screen, and dusted the boombox. In the kitchen, I washed and dried the glass ashtray. I put the mouse pad on my floor, sprayed it, and wiped it off. I sprayed the blonde desktop and wiped it clean of dust, ashes, coffee stains, and the residue of spilled whiskey. I dusted the salt lamp and clip light, and then arranged everything just so. I got to work in another corner. I dusted the television antenna, the television, a Fat City video, and the pine corner stand that Tommy built for me. I dusted the spines of the reference books on its middle shelf, and squeezing into the corner, I dusted stacks of books and the heavy nude woman bottle opener from Russell, the shoehorn, the Walkman tape recorder, and the shelf. I removed everything from the bottom shelf to the floor, wiped the shelf, and as I put them back, wiped off the following items: sunglasses, tin of shoe polish, container of Hide food, 2 shoe brushes, hairbrush, a comb, which I took to the bathroom and washed in hot water, a slim bottle of grappa, a bottle of Red Label, Angostura bitters, a flask from Guy, assorted vitamin bottles, some I still used and some that were left over from optimistic fads, lutein, DMAE, ornithine, I tossed them out. Talc, a tube of arnica gel, a can of compressed air, a pack of light bulbs, the weights from the handles of a jump rope, a can of lighter fluid, 2 rings of never used keys, and a small wooden box made and inscribed to me by Sheila in Payne Whitney, and containing my wedding band, an old lighter, and other rings. I set 4 pairs of black boots and shoes on the pine trunk and swept the floor. I pushed aside Delight's autumn leaf curtain and sprayed the alley window. Paper napkins came away wet with the brownish red residue of cigarette smoke. I sprayed and wiped the glass of the 2 framed pictures on the blue walls, George Schneeman's collage for the cover of Sitting Pretty, and an Albrecht Dürer cowslit plant. I went looking for a mop in the room behind the kitchen. I opened the back door on a morning of nearly blinding brightness. Then the light resolved to a deck and a backyard, the backs of houses, wooden stairways. It glared as yellow flowers in long grass. Under the kitchen sink, I found a bottle of cleaning fluid, Maestro Limpio, and poured some into a gray plastic bucket. I filled the bucket with hot water and carried it down the hall. I mopped the painted blue floor and left its clean, thin shine to dry. I went for a walk, feeling like I'd been shot from a rifle into sunlight. I passed a spray of those same yellow flowers leaning toward the sun and a construction site where a butterfly's shadow floated across the sidewalk. That night I was reading a New Yorker piece about Joseph Cornell. Lamplight lay in the painted grain of the floorboards. The window was wide open on the night where things were alive again. In the New Yorker, Adam Gopnik quoted Joseph Cornell's journal. Quote, "As usual, a significant kind of happiness is difficult to get into this cataloging. But there it was, nonetheless, this on the edgeness of something apocalyptic, something really satisfying." And here's one more. This is in a different mode, and this is set in New York. I'm walking up Havemeyer when I think, I'd really like a popsicle. Of all things, right? All of a sudden I want a popsicle. I haven't thought about a popsicle in 40 years. Out of nowhere. It's like you're at the mercy of any stray thought. Nixon was president the last time I had a popsicle. But it's a hot day, I quit smoking, whatever it was, I want a popsicle. So I go to the bodega, but they don't have regular popsicles. All they got is crazy multicolored confections, part French tickler, part fireworks, or those long frozen plastic things that burn the back of your throat. I just want a regulation, old-fashioned twin pop like when I was a kid. So I go to the supermarket, but you have to buy a box. The smallest box is 12. So I buy a box of 12. And that night I'm lying around watching The Sopranos or something. I eat 6 of them. I quit smoking maybe 3 months before, and you need something to do while you're watching these shows. When I smoked, I could watch 5, 6 episodes back to back because you're smoking, you're sort of involved with the action. Cigarettes make you part of the action. You're not just laying there. I can't just lie there and watch these assholes for 5 hours with nothing to do. I need something. Anyway, I ate half the box, 6 popsicles. And then the next night, because it's there, again with the TV, I finished the box. And now, because I did it 2 nights in a row, it's like a little routine. I make a habit out of everything. So night 3, on my way home from work, I stop and buy another box of 12 popsicles. I don't know what my relationship status was at this point that I was free to lie around watching The Sopranos every night eating popsicles. Maybe I was with June and we weren't seeing each other yet till her divorce came through. I must have been with June because I was only able to quit smoking as part of my Stay Alive program with her. Good faith gesture. The popsicles I wouldn't tell her about. It's too idiotic. Every night back and forth to the kitchen. Now I'll have a red one, now a purple one. Sometimes taking 2 at a time so one of them can start to melt while I'm eating the other one because it's better when they soften up a little. So this goes on for maybe a week. Every 3 nights, I go to the supermarket and buy a dozen popsicles until I go there one night and there are no more boxes of 12. I cleaned them out. There's only a box of 24. So I have no choice. I buy the box of 24. I cross the line into the unknown. I buy the all-American suburban superhero economy jumbo family pack, figuring, this is crazy, but it'll last me 4 days. And that night, I ate the entire box. 24 popsicles, back to back, back and forth to the freezer, now cherry, now grape, now orange, lying on my back, peering over my belly like a seal with the remote in one hand and a popsicle in the other, and the wind fan blowing around. Take a disc out, turn it over, start another one, and the sticks and wrappers piling up on the table beside the clock with its minute hand going around and around on this orgy of popsicles, a popsicle apocalypse. You look at a clock during something like this, and you realize you're on your own. There's no one watching, no one in charge. Nothing prevents you from degenerating to madness and savagery except some voice at the back of your head. Probably by the end, I was just trying to get it over with, get finished with The Sopranos and finish off this box so I could close the book on this whole sorry chapter and get on with my life. Nevertheless, I did eat 24 twin pops in one night. I woke up the next morning with a purple tongue and a rash on both arms. And now I know I can never have another drink. I can never just buy a bag of dope someday for the hell of it, or an 8-ball because I got people in town, or whatever it is. I can't do it. I can never smoke even one cigarette without mutating into some kind of fiend. I have to just forget about all that and get on with it. Just get on with what's left of my life. Yes, just keep my head down and set off across the ice. A little wiser, a little older, a little more embarrassed. Because now this is another thing you're capable of, another absurdity. You like yourself a little less. It's like you wash a pet and you see what kind of scrawny, abject little creature has been living under there all this time. It's hard to feel the same about it after. But what are you going to do? Get rid of the pet? You're stuck with the pet, like you're stuck with yourself. So on you go.
Oh, wow.
Love you, Mikey.
Fun.
Awesome.
Mike.
That was great. Thanks,
Like
Mike.
that.
Yeah.
All right. So our next reader, that was Mike DeCapite. Great stuff, Mike. Our next reader is the, let's see. I have to do that. Oh, excuse me. I'm having a technical difficulty here for a second. Hold on. I gotta cancel the spotlight video there, and I'm learning something new and exciting about Zoom every day. All right, so now Max is in the spotlight. Here he is. Max Blagg was born in England, has lived in New York since 1972, always below 14th Street, as any proper person would. His sold-out readings featuring backup singers dressed as Girl Scouts and dominatrixes were dismissed as gimmicks by more established members of the downtown scene, who saw to it that he never received a grant of any kind. A Gap TV commercial in 1992 entitled "What Fits" almost destroyed his bohemian credibility, but he has soldiered on. I don't know about the almost, Mac. I don't know. I remember when that commercial came out and you were like the talk of the town, and people were like, I don't know about that Max Blagg. He's on a TV commercial. Of course, everybody else was like, why the fuck didn't I get a TV commercial? Anyway, 2 lines from that Gap commercial were later purloined by the singer Madonna for a tragically small sum. His most recent publications are Walkabout NYC and Slow Dazzle, both published by Shallow Books NYC. Both are extremely excellent, in my humble opinion. Forthcoming is a collaboration with artist Curtis Kulig, Loud Money, a mashup of art and text. Max has collaborated with many artists, including, I'll probably pronounce some of these names wrong, Jamie Nares, Alex Katz, Jack Pearson, Richard Prince, Donald Sultan, Billy Sullivan, Keith Sonier, Nan Golden, Jerry Lynn Hanrahan, and Nicholas Rule, at least one of whom is present tonight. So pay attention to Max Blagg.
Thank you, Bernard. I got an echo in there. Hi, that was really terrific. The other 2 readers, who are both friends of mine, and I'm really very happy and honored to make a trio with them. It's really been a pleasure so far, so I'll try to do the same thing. I'm going to start with some older pieces, just New York type pieces. This is called To What? To what do I owe this insanitary napkin, these rusted blades whirling through air? I speak with the forked tongue of a long-chinned pale-face sauntering through the Lollapalooza, reeking of flowers and garlic. Churlish music hums in my head as the sun blinks out and in again, banked behind slate-gray clouds and gone again, gone deep as a spooked shark, as deep as my daughter's pale blue eyes. Linger on, your pale blue eyes, while I begin again, kneel down, start it up. My green heart bold as a spring-wired cardinal strutting for food chips among the scuffed leaves. A hammered steel knight of the 3 legs, rampant on a field of mercury rising. Lips loose and wrists stiff as a busboy's arm, fully laden with dish and dishes. Take me to your captain, let me lay it all on him. The gushy, pulsing flow of it, the bloody red rag of it, the metal-licking, bomb-ticking, gear-grinding mess of it. Open the throat and spit out the emptiness. Ahab in the sky with lightning, a man without a meat axe in a room full of oxen. Oh, that's one down. The next one is another New York poem for my friend Jim Gilroy, who probably didn't figure out how to log on to this, but I'll read it for him anyway. It's called This Must Be the Night. And we were driving back into New York City. This must be the night. Ring of stars around our heads, waiting for the dance card to ignite the inferno. The Barracuda had twin pipes and a raked rear window where a newly adopted kitten nodded like a toy, an amulet to keep us from all harm. Willie DeVille was on the radio crooning, "This must be the night." Jimmy buried the needle and gunned it across the Williamsburg Bridge, white walls barely touching the steel plates, Brooklyn behind us, river on the right, sliding black as a snake around the contours of the island, bars shining with artificial light, women moving like temple dancers, hips and everything curving into yes, mouthing utterances sacred and profane, all of us vibrating like the cables that held us suspended in air as the car shot like an arrow into Manhattan's dirty heart. Okay then. So I'm going to see what's done. And one more New York one here, if I can find it. This is called Summertime, Slight Return. On Broadway, the footprints of the tourists mark the street with temporary signs, coming and going in their slow holiday rhythms. Like turtles crossing a busy highway, loading up on fake luxury goods on Canal Street, while behind the lofts on Lisbonard, the Somali hustlers wash their feet with Poland Spring before they face the east and pray that this new batch of Chanel, fresh from Shanghai, will be dispensed by sunset. Everyday proof of life and breath, this city vibrates with the submarine hum of 100 aging motors turning over. A man sleeps poorly because he didn't act righteously. A rope uncoils from the sky, and you can climb it or fashion a noose that looks like a nurse's hat or a Celtic rune scratched into a wall, shaped like a sail or a shark, something to trigger fight or flight, guns and money, rooms filled with flowers, a different engine starting up on the first turn of the key, bumping your skull on the dash as the car sails over the Williamsburg Bridge, East River flecked with black gold, while in the western reaches, a coal barge drifts over to Hoboken, bankers counting money as it pours out of the earth. This is the way the world works. Rainmakers move clouds south instead of north. Okay, and I'm just going to read, I'm on 7 already, so I'm going to read just a couple of these fragments from this little book, Venus at the One Stop. And then I want to read something new, which is still in progress, so I hope you'll bear with me on that one. This is called House on Fire. Big June spews up its brilliance, each day lovelier than the last. Lucinda Williams' steel-tipped voice drips rosaries down my sweaty neck. Jesus, Buddha, Percocet, who is calling? Who has something that will cool me down? 5 a.m. on June the 24th in the year of my disgrace, Jupiter enters my sign with a smile that smells like gasoline. Ohio blue tip trembles in my fingers. One more of those. This is the title poem, Venus at the One Stop. Venus at the One Stop in sunlight and sandals, sips her big gulp Coke as her long body folds into a cherry red Camaro. Venus at the One Stop, pounding memory into fragrance. Okay, take a sip of water. And now this is some kind of rhyming rant in the time of Corona. I don't know why it's basically in rhyming couplets, but it just, I just had this da-da-da-da-da going through my head. So this is what we have so far. I want this poem to become as curvy as that Hottentot Venus. I hope it's worthy of your survey. You can see I'm rather nervous in the service, but tonight I discard my Corona fears. So open your ears for this trail of tears. 1,000 flighty syllabiscuits filled with blood, blood of a wig or something better than good. Can the can, there is no mystery man. Your history cannot deplete fleet feet, already lemming over the precipice, erasing social dilemmas, amping up the dance, a corona, tarantella, observed from the sky above by wiser eyes, raptor or velociraptor, supersonic dinosaur. I place your hand on his razor claw. His blood feels warm, his beak is sharp. This bird was banned from Noah's Ark. When God gave Noah the rainbow sign, he told that flying beak, come by next time. There will be fire, it will be good. Guaranteed, there will be blood. Sounds of liquor pouring down, that sound no longer turns me round. Amber liquid on clinky ice, sounds so nice, but water tastes better, keep the brain sound, the joint still rocking, going round and round. Though the rhyming wagon, the bells of rhymey start to sound cracked and a little flimsy. Mere padding from my long enjambé lines. Feel like I could fly just like Yves Klein, who landed with a bang of knees on a hard French street laid by Calabrese masons, or was it early Photoshop made him look like flying, when in real life he was closer to dying. How is it so far, this rhyming business? Okay with it? It's okay, I can't hear you. 1966 was a magic year. Blonde on blonde exploded in my ears right after Highway 61. I was lost in the rain in Retford knots. I was real, real gone. This was more rich gravy for the soul. Right after Christine Keeler, every boy at school was dying to feel her, or someone like her who'd pose in a chair wearing nothing but a shining hair. Intimate details in the news of the world made our tiny wieners curl and spring as if to sing out loud. There's a viscount up front and a doctor at the back. Every peer of the realm wants a crack at that crack. And Mandy Rice D was Christine's constant witness, perfect partner for that funny business. Flawless smiles as they sashayed into court, bent old judge already sold and bought. Their pimp, he died. The prince, he lied. Profumo cried when he heard the Russian too had screwed her. Oh, my misspent youth, inspired by such naughty English girls, truly rubies without price, shining pearls. Now we take our leave of those mouths like caverns, fleshy envelopes open to bright pink heaven, above ancient avenues, dirty streets and lanes, spread on white sheets at the Hotel Jane as the boats go by. Corona cruise ships with no safe harbor, fireboats and tugs dodging barges and bugs that jump 10 feet from one Vic to the next. Calling all Wiccans, remove this hex. Because Fauci is slouching on the Bethlehem Road and Burks is bending double for the orange toe. That was Wednesday. This is Thursday. A new day underway, just like the last day. All our yesterdays gone tomorrow. Like curts up the river, we've seen the horror. Each dawn is lovely, that's not your last. But that final sun has already come for some 60,000 and still counting. Tomorrow's May Day, another gray day. Fridays early, I really used to like sipping fresh coffee at Gotam with Mike. An outside table as morning unfolded, shoes freshly polished, trousers not yet rolled, nailing the pretentious to the literary cross, dissing the anointed and their verbal froth, hoisting them with petards they have sown themselves, judging and condemning these scrabbling elves. You know who you are. It was fun while it lasted, but the bell has rung. This airborne virus wants to nest in your lungs. Face masks and rubber gloves now part of your charm. To knock on any door, use elbow and arm. And the jobs disappear like diamonds down the drain. Nothing's gonna wake us from this growing pain. This daydream is real, unfolding slow, a graphic reveal of our dog and pony show. Our gov. Fuck you in all its money-grubbing horror, and so much dying, who can measure the sorrow? Air is life, and the virus steals it. We need real leaders that can heal us, something solid that can seal it, bury it deep like Chernobyl. But there's no shining city on a hill, just those numbskull scum in Washington and their endless, mindless bullshit jive. Why do such maggots still live and thrive? One day maybe, who knows, baby, we won't be locked in this frozen place, And there will be a new kind of human race, sweet as a dew on the green, green lawn, and all good people safe from harm. Dream on, my brother, or wake up, rather. Reason discourse is out of season. Best keep cracking wise in the God's own hive. Keep begging them to chill it, make it still. Seize upon the midnight, shut it down at noon. Block this wet market monkey's fatal hit. Is it on my shoe? Is it in your spit? Is it wafting through the streets like a breeze from the pit? I have no more fucks to give. All I want to do is love and live. My 70 already elapsed. My 70th is in the past. But Lord, please oblige me, let me drive, at least till I hit, say, 85? Yes, that number sounds just great. But what might be even better, before you read my death letter, could you, dear Lloyd, please ensure the candles on my cake number 94? And that's it from Beach Street.
Fun, Max.
Thank you, Max.
That was lovely.
That was
That
awesome.
was lovely.
That was awesome, Max. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
It sounded like something off of Highway 6.
All right. Sorry, I have to mute you all, but it's that time again. Thanks from Max Blagg in Beach Street reporting. Max, you want to send me that? I'll fucking publish that right now, tonight, if you send me that. That was great. We need that. We need that poem. Another fantastic reading. What a great night. DJ Smith, Mike DeCapite, and Max Blagg. I'll be posting this video on YouTube tomorrow. Check out all our other videos on YouTube. This whole series has been up there. And, you know, we're all distant, but it's kind of cool. I've said this before. This would be physically impossible to put these three guys together in meet space. So we get to do it here. And it's also kind of interesting because I've tried to videotape so many readings over the years, and it's always problematic for one reason or other, the lighting or the sound. But these actually come out great, you know, through the old Zoom. So, all right, that's it from here. I'm signing off from California, and I hope I see you all next week. Next week we have Amy. I'm sorry, I'm going to get your name wrong. Amy Uzonian, Amy Barone, John S. Hall, and a player to be named later.